Anxiety. The answer to dealing with your anxiety. According to the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, mastering your mind is the key to controlling your anxiety. Epictetus was born a slave in Hierapolis, modern-day Turkey, and spent his early years in Rome under the ownership of a wealthy and influential man, Epictetus, who served in Emperor Nero's court. Despite his status, Epictetus had an intense desire for wisdom and studied Stoic philosophy under Musonius Rufus, one of Rome's leading Stoic teachers. At some point, possibly after the death of Nero in 68 CE, Epictetus was freed from slavery. Upon gaining his freedom, Epictetus opened his own philosophy school in Rome, where he became a respected teacher. However, in 93 CE, Emperor Domitian banished all philosophers from Rome, forcing him to flee to Nicopolis, Greece. There, he founded one of the most famous Stoic schools, attracting students from all over the Roman world. Here are practical steps to apply Epictetus' wisdom in mastering your mind and dealing with anxiety. Step 1. Separate what you can control from what you can't. Anxiety often comes from worrying about things outside our control, future events, other people's opinions, or past mistakes. Whenever you feel anxious, pause and ask, is this within my control? If yes, what action can I take? If no, how can I accept it and let go? In practice, you can write a list of things that stress you out and categorize them, in my control versus out of my control, then focus only on the first category. Step 2. Challenge your thoughts. Are they real or imagined? Epictetus reminds us that our suffering comes from how we perceive things, not the things themselves. When an anxious thought arises, ask yourself, is this thought based on fact or just my fear? What is the worst that can happen? Has this fear ever come true in the past? In practice, every time you catch yourself in a spiral of worry, take a deep breath and rationally analyze the thought. Most fears lose power when questioned. Step 3. Journal your thoughts. Writing helps separate anxious emotions from reality. Each evening, write down, what worried me today? Was it real or imagined? How could I have responded with more calm? In practice, you can keep a journal and reflect daily on how you handled stress and what you can improve. Step 4. Accept what happens with amor fati, love of fate. Instead of resisting life's challenges, embrace them as part of your journey. When something goes wrong, instead of saying, why me? Say, this is happening for me, not to me. How can I use this to grow? In practice, next time something frustrating happens, reframe it as an opportunity to develop patience, wisdom, or strength. Here's a story that brings this idea to life. Once, there was a weary traveler, Nikos, who was making his way through the mountains, carrying a large sack over his shoulders. It was filled with food, tools, and other supplies, but as he walked, he constantly worried, what if I run out of food? What if I get lost? What if bandits attack me? His mind spun with endless fears, each one making his journey feel heavier. An old monk, watching from a hillside, called out to him. Why do you look so burdened? He asked. Because this road is dangerous, Nikos replied. There are so many things that could go wrong. The monk smiled and pointed at Nikos' sack. Open it, he said. Nikos hesitated but did as he was told. To his shock, the sack was half empty. He had imagined it being heavier than it really was. Your journey is like this sack, the monk said. The real weight is far less than what you imagine. You carry more fear than reality. Nikos stood in silence. He realized that the road ahead might be long, but the greatest burden wasn't the journey. It was the unnecessary fear he had packed along with him. From that day forward, he walked lighter, both in body and in mind.